Hello and welcome into SportsZone. I'm your host, Trey Francis, and these Dallas Stars, they have been on a tear lately. They might be physically melting the ice instead of literally, but to talk about these Stars here with me, I have John Phillips and Matt Wagner. Matt, I'm going to go to you first, man. They've been on a tear, like I said. I mean, talk about them. Let's talk about this Canucks game first. What do you think?
The 3-1 victory, I mean, they absolutely killed it. I mean, you know, they didn't score an even-strength goal, both power play goals and an empty netter. I know that's a 5-on-5 goal technically, but obviously they were tearing up the ice. They started off slow. Their forecheck wasn't there at first, but then DeBoer kind of woke them up, and then they got going with the 2 goals late.
That's right. You said they won in that one 3-1 over the Canucks. And the Stars usually never beat the Canucks. How come they were able to beat them this time, John?
You have to say team of destiny. I mean, the Stars have been so hot. It seems like nothing can go wrong for them. Beating the Canucks is another example of everything going right for them.
And Matt, although it's a win, there's always some things that can be improved. What do you think should have been improved in that game?
For me, it should have been the forecheck, right? Because, I mean, they got in, they dumped the pucks in, but they're not going after, not chasing them. You know, they're not getting physical. You know, usually when you get in the zone and get physical, it creates chaos. That's one thing that the Stars have done so well is create chaos in the offensive zone, which leads to those turnovers, which leads to pucks to the back of the net.
And you got the jersey on real quick.
Yes,
go ahead and explain that one to me.
Yeah, I got you. Don't worry. So this is my Mike Modano Stars jersey from the 2007-2008 season when he was named first captain. He only wore it for about 3 seasons before they gave it to Brendan Morrow, but it's a retro jersey. I love it because the Stars are such on channel. I'm a big Stars fan as well.
All right, and John, you know that, like I said, that they did well. But what players did you like from the Stars specifically?
I like Miro Heiskanen. He spent 25 minutes on ice, and on the power play, had 3 more minutes on the ice than any other defender on the Stars, and he had a really impressive performance in the game.
Yeah, that's right. And the Stars, like I mentioned already, they finally got over that hump of the Canucks. Matt, real quick, why did you think they were able to get over that hump?
Like I said before, it's just the forecheck, and then also their plays that they were creating was so much better. They got the cycle game going. They caused confusion within the Canucks, and the Canucks defense just could not keep up. And it also felt especially nice considering it was Chris Tane's former team.
That's right. And let's go ahead and move on to the Stars versus the Kraken. They picked up another win there, 1-3-0. That's a shutout. That's pretty big. John, go ahead and give me your thoughts on that one.
I mean, Jake Ottinger's shutout, he has turned it around. He had hovering around a 900 save percentage, and now he's just one of the best goalies in the league. I mean, it's his 9th career shutout. It was just such an impressive performance from him.
And Matt, what did you think?
No, yeah, I agree. I mean, he's been finally getting back to that elite stats. I know last time we talked Stars, he was kind of struggling a little bit. His save percentage was just teetering around that 900, but in the last 6 games, it's had been 954, and that's all-star level. That's why he was named all-star for the Stars.
Yeah, Stars only allowed 17 shots on goal, and then the Stars, they had 30. It was a big game. The Kraken, they always bring their A game. They have some good players in there, a couple former Stars as well. Matt, I mean, talk about the Kraken team overall. Do you think the Stars were supposed to beat them? They squeaked by, kind of. I mean, it was a shutout. But what were your thoughts there?
No, the Kraken's always been a team where they've been. They're going to battle every night, even if they don't look as good. They're a team that can roll all 4 lines and plug in and plug out. And I thought that they put up their best effort against the Stars, but again, the Stars are a steam engine, and it's very hard to stop a rolling train.
And John, we won, but sometimes there's things you can improve on, sometimes there's not. Did you see something that you thought should have been improved?
This game, I can't really say. I mean, a shutout. It was just a dominant, complete 38 shots to 17. That's a game that you love everything. After the game, the coach says, Great job, guys. I mean,
yeah, no improvements. I'm right there with you. I mean, no goals in the first period was probably the only thing I would say. You can call it a slow start, but when you don't give up goals on the defensive side, it really doesn't matter. So let's go ahead and move on to the Stars versus Oilers now. Stars go 3-0 against the Kraken, and now the Oilers, they go 5-0 last night, guys. I mean, Matt, what were your thoughts on that game, man?
Yeah, I mean, they punched McJesus or McNothing into the dust. They punched them in the teeth. They throttled them throughout the entire game. The Oilers had no chance because the Oilers only have one good line with McDavid, Draisaitl, and Hyman. And the Stars, they're a 3 first-line team. That is very rare, and 1 second line. That is a very rare sight to see in the NHL. You don't know who's going to be that first-line caliber player, and I think that is what makes the Stars so great, especially against a high-flying team like the Oilers.
Yeah, shutout against the Oilers. That's a good team, like you said, McDavid. And you can call him what you want, but I was worried there was a few times he was going to score. But, John, what did you see from the Stars in that one?
Yeah, I mean, when you have a first line, like you said, of Hyman, McDavid, Draisaitl, that's just insane for Ottinger to get a shutout. It's his first back-to-back shutouts of his career. And that, I mean, Seattle, they're a good team, right? But shutting out Edmonton 5-0, that's really a mark of how good this team is. 8th straight win, 4th straight on the road. I mean, what can opposing teams do against them?
And let's talk about that second period, guys. All those goals coming back to back within a series of 5-6 minutes. Matt, how come that offense was able to do that?
Mostly because of the defense for the Oilers was really a problem because you had guys like Darnell Nurse who kept pinching at the wrong time. He had 2 attacking forwards for the Stars, and every time you pinch, that becomes a 2-on-1. Every time there's a 2-on-1, it ends up in the back of the Oilers' net, and that's not something that the Oilers can do.
And John, I mean, we talked about it with the Kraken game. Was there anything that could have been improved? Well, do you think anything could have been improved in this one? Because in my opinion, no. But what do you think?
If nothing could be improved in the Seattle game, definitely nothing could be improved in this game. This was a perfect hockey game, I'd say. I mean, perfection.
And Matt, do you think, going forward here, Oilers are a good team, but some more good teams down the road, can the Stars continue this?
No, yeah, I think they can. I mean, you have some big tests. Obviously, the next game is against the Blackhawks. That should be a pretty easy game for them. But you do have the Avalanche coming up, and that's a big game. If you want to stay in that President's Trophy race against divisional opponents, that's a huge game for them.
And who are y'all's top guys in this matchup? There are a couple of guys, several goal scorers, young guys getting in on the action. Matt, what did you think? Who'd you like offensively?
I'm going to go Wyatt Johnston, the 30-goal scorer at 20 years old, second most in franchise history, but first in Stars history. The only other player to do that was Brian Bellows in the 82-83 season, long ago back in the North Stars days. But again, Johnson at only 20 years old, 30 goals scoring, the sky's the limit for him.
Yes, his career is taking off. John, who did you like?
Mine has to be Jason Robertson. He had the first back-to-back 50-assist season for the Stars since 2008-2009. I mean, really impressive. And he's a goal scorer, but he's shown off his playmaking chops this year.
But guys, we cannot forget about Mr. Ottinger himself. Getting it done. Goaltending. I mean, come on. You had 2 back-to-back shutouts. Let's talk about this goaltending real quick. We haven't seen Wedgwood recently, but Ottinger's been getting the job done. Matt, do you think they should keep rolling with Ottinger? I
mean, yeah, you kind of have to keep rolling with the hot hand, right? Obviously, you haven't seen Wedgwood ever since he had a baby girl, and congratulations to the Wedgwoods. But I think you have to ride him the hot hand until he starts stuttering again, because we've seen these inconsistent stretches from him. Again, he's been really good. Let's just see hope we can keep it going against the Avalanche.
And John, your thoughts on the goaltending?
It's tough for me because you do have to ride the hot hand and keep playing Ottinger, but you do want Wedgwood to get a little bit of the rest off before the playoffs. So I'd probably play him for a game or 2 in the regular season just so he's ready for the playoffs. But Ottinger, you have to keep playing.
Yeah, I'd say the Blackhawks are his best bet for that.
Definitely.
I definitely agree with that one, guys. I mean, there's only 6 games left in this regular season. The Stars, second best team in the NHL right now. Matt, do you like where the Stars sit? Think they can bump up to first? They're going to bump down? Where do you see them going?
No, I think they can easily bump up to first, but I don't think they're concerned about that President's Trophy. I think they have one championship in mind, and that's the Stanley Cup. I mean, they're looking to go far this time.
And Matt, real quick back to you. What do you think the Stars' chances are on getting to the Stanley Cup and potentially winning it?
They have one of the toughest possible playoff roads to go through. They have to go through Colorado. You potentially even have to go through Nashville, who's really hot right now. Heck, if you have to go back through Vegas, who's still, again, the Cup favorite this year, it's a tough road, but I think the Stars are prepared for it.
Which is crazy that Vegas is the favorite, and they have the Stars number, so got to be a little bit careful. John, what are your thoughts on this one?
I mean, I think that it is a very tough playoff road, but the talent and how hot the Stars are, I find it difficult to see someone scoring a lot of goals against Ottinger in the playoffs and stopping the forward line. I mean, I think it's Stanley Cup champions coming back to Dallas.
And John, right back to you. Obviously, the Stars have been on the streak, but before then, what did you think about the Stars throughout the season? They had that little losing streak they went on, but now winning streak and playoffs right on the corner. How does that make you feel?
I mean, they were a little inconsistent before, but I think after the trade deadline getting Chris Tanev, I think Ottinger, solidifying himself, I think all the holes that we had during those inconsistent plays have been filled, and I think it's going to stay that way, and I think that we will be consistent throughout the playoffs. I
definitely agree with that one, Matt. Anything you think that needs to improve going forward these next few games?
Not really. I think everything looks good so far. I think you can get more pressure up front on the forecheck. I think one thing I wanted to mention though is the Stars have a perfect record when Niels Lundqvist is in the lineup. Perfect 18-0 whenever he's in the lineup. So, I mean, you got to keep him in. Obviously, that's a little superstitious for me, but I think you keep him in.
And John, anything else you want to see from this team going forward?
I mean, I want to see him in the lineup. So what is hockey if not superstitious? But I mean, a little bit of a lack of goal scoring in the past couple games. 3 goals, 5 goals, maybe a little bit there. But I mean, with this forward line, there's nothing really you need to worry about for the playoffs.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about in these last 6 games. How do you all expect the Stars to do? Give me, I guess, your number on what you think the record will be over the next 6 games. Matt, I'll start with you.
I got 4-2-0 in the last 6 games. I think 2 games you can kind of wash out. But again, you're just trying to get ready for those playoffs. You're trying to get the gears together, grind out, and just finish the season strong.
And John, your prediction?
Similar 4-1-1. I think they get 1 into OT, but I think that it's going to be a good end to the season.
Yeah, Matt, I'm going to roll with you there. 4-2-0 for sure. But that will do it here on our Dallas Stars block. But coming up, we're going to be talking about another hot Dallas team in the Dallas Mavericks, so don't go anywhere.
Attention all UNT students. Are you looking for a professional headshot? If so, mark your calendars for April 11th and 12th, where you can get a headshot by Isabel and myself.
Whether you're updating your LinkedIn profile, building your portfolio, or just want a stunning photo, join us on April 11th from 3:30 to 9 p.m. and April 12th from 12 to 5:30 p.m.
Located at the RTFP building in room 261, this event is free for all UNT students, and I repeat, free for all UNT students.
Don't miss out on this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to shine professionally. Get ready to put your best face forward. See you there.
I'm so tired. I feel ugly. I'm not okay. I didn't know UNT had counseling services. Maybe I should check it out. This looks like the place.
Did you know you have access to video equipment like DVDs, video games, and cameras? That's right, you do. Come on down to Chilton Library and fulfill your media dream. Located on the bottom floor next to the student sculpture. Hope to see you there soon.
Hey girl, you know you look good. I like the way you move and groove. I'm not sure.
In the Sports Zone, where we're going to talk about these Dallas Mavericks, and here to talk about it with me, I have Jalen Alexander and Taggart Kent. Jalen, I'm going to go ahead and talk with you first, man. Mavericks, they've been on this tear, but we saw what they did the other night. Go ahead and give me your thoughts in general on the season so far.
I mean, I think it's been a really good season so far. I mean, we're fourth seed or fifth seed in the league right now. And just the other game, I didn't think it went how it should have. I mean, the Warriors are a good team. I know they're 10th seed, but we're a lot better than that. I just think it was a really they just have more experience. So, I mean, I definitely understand that. So.
And Taggart, your overall thoughts on the season so far?
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, I was on a block talking about the Mavericks, and I said their ceiling really was a first-round exit just because I thought defensively they were atrocious. But the past couple of weeks, specifically the back-to-back Kings games, they've really showed that defensively, when they want to, they can ramp it up. And that, to me, that raises their ceiling from first-round exit to a team that should be the favorite to make the Western Conference Finals. As far as the Warriors game, sometimes coaching, you can go through and drop the best X's and O's you can possibly, but at the end of the day, it comes down to, are your guys hitting shots or not? And last night, or a couple nights ago against the Warriors, I was actually at work watching that game. It just seems like nothing could get going for the guys outside of Kyrie and Luka Doncic, and when that's happening, it's going to be hard to win.
Yeah, guys, let's talk about the games against the Kings. They won 132-96 and 107-103. What were y'all's thoughts on that, Jalen? I'm going to go with you first. You can talk about both games as a whole.
I think quite literally, at least in game one, they did everything well. They shot over 50% from the field and 50% from beyond the three-point line. They out-rebounded this team, especially on the defensive side, 44-31. And I also think getting to the free throw line was a big thing in these two games. They only had 12 attempts in the first game and then had 33 in the second one. So, I mean, you just think with this team, getting to the line has to be the most important thing whenever you're playing teams who have guys who can score, whenever you have guys who are good on defense. I just think they did a really good job at that.
And Taggart, what did you think that the Mavericks did well in those games against the Kings?
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about the first game very much just because it was a domination. It was boring. But that second game, with 9 minutes to go in that game, the Mavs were down by 10. And they really had to lock in defensively to end up coming back and winning that game by 5. And they did exactly that. Dante Exum had a couple big possessions where he was locking up not DeJounte Murray. I don't know why DeJounte Murray is coming to it. De'Aaron Fox. I don't know why DeJounte Murray was the first thought, brain that came to my mind. He was playing great defense. I love the way P.J. Washington, he's been what they wanted Grant Williams to be prior to this season when they signed Grant Williams. I thought that was a great trade, and it's really made the Mavs better defensively down the stretch.
Yeah, those moves definitely help, but let's talk about these scores for the Mavs. I mean, Doncic and Irving, I think they found their touch. Jalen, go ahead and give me your quick opinion. You think they finally found it? You think that's going to keep improving and stay the way it is, or what?
I think they really have found their touch, and I'm going to say this. I think it's because of the centers, too. Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford have kind of opened up a huge role to make Luka and Kyrie kind of get in their offensive rhythm and flow. I think it's been amazing for that. And just the rotations, I think it's really good for them too.
Yeah,
Tyler,
that
your
Daniel
thoughts?
Gafford pickup was amazing. He really shut down Domantas Sabonis down the stretch in that second Kings game. That rim protection has been so underrated. And when you have Luka and Kyrie doing their thing like they have the past few games, having that rim protection to help them on the back end of the defense is super important.
Yeah, that first game, I mean, Doncic 28, Irving 24. The next one, Irving 30, Doncic 26, and Lively 12. I mean, it's not always Irving and Doncic. It's other guys helping out too. I mean, Derek Lively. I mean, you talked about Exum's helped out. I mean, who else do you guys like on this Mavericks team? Jalen, I'll go to you.
I mean, I've just really liked Lively throughout this whole time, man. Ever since they drafted him, I know people had their thoughts about him, and everyone was like, well, what can he do? Can he do this? Can he do that? And he showed everyone who kind of doubted him that he can do whatever they need him to do, and the Mavericks have thrived because of it.
And Tiger?
I love the way PJ Washington plays the game. He plays the game a little bit like me. He's that 3-and-D kind of guy. I'm nowhere near as good of a defender as he is, but man, it's just guys who play like that. You know, they aren't flashy. They don't light up the stat sheet, but it's so fun from a purist perspective.
Yeah, did you guys think that the Mavericks were going to go 2-0 against the Kings there, Jalen?
Honestly, I thought so. I mean, I think that they were supposed to do this. They're one of the best teams in the league. They have two of the best players in the league. And I just think if they didn't win these two, then something just had to go completely wrong.
And Tiger?
I agree. I mean, you've got Luka Doncic, who's at the top of his game, and Kyrie Irving, who's really ramped it up recently. There's no reason they shouldn't have won both of those.
Yeah, I was thinking 1-1, and hey guys, when you put 1-1 together, that makes 11, and the Mavs snapped the 11-game win streak of the Rockets. I mean, that was a good game. Did you guys expect the Mavs to beat the Rockets? Jalen, real quick, go to you, and we'll discuss it.
I'm going to be honest, I didn't think they would just because of the 11-game win streak. But one thing I will say about the Mavericks in this game, they came out being super aggressive. And it just seemed like everybody who was open was making shots. And you still have Kyrie, you got Luka getting in space. And then whenever they get double teamed, which they did a lot, especially during the Kings and during Houston, just pass it out to someone else and it's cash.
Yeah, and it was 125-107. Tiger, what did you like from the Mavs in that one?
Yeah, Houston really came in with the mindset that they were going to ice Luka and Kyrie coming off screens, and they really did a good job of adjusting to that and getting others involved. I really loved the way they navigated the coaching aspect of the Rockets and how they were going to slow down those two and having other people get involved and end up taking care of what, at the end of the day, I know they're hot right now, but is a bad Rockets team.
Yeah, Doncic with 47. I mean, the Mavs offense, it's been great, but you know, obviously there's a couple things to be worked on. They did win 125-107, like I mentioned. What did you guys think the Mavs could have improved on from that game, Tiger?
From which game specifically? Sorry.
From the Rockets game.
From the Rockets game? I mean, not really much. I mean, Luka Doncic did his thing, 47 points, 9 for 16 from 3 is absolutely absurd. That's over 15%, over 50%. There's not much you can really ask for them from that perspective. They took care of a team that they absolutely should have.
Yeah, I just thought maybe the rebounding offensively. Jalen, did you have something on that?
I mean, I felt the same way as Tagger. I mean, there was really nothing that I feel like they could have improved on. It's not like I went into this game thinking that they were going to blow this team out or Luka was going to have 47 in Houston at that. But I just think Luka showed why he's going to win the MVP award this year.
All right. And we touched on it already, but let's go ahead and talk about the Mavs versus the Warriors. Mavs, their streak ended. They lost 104-100. Tiger, how come the Mavs did not win that game?
You know, I touched on it in the beginning of this segment. It's not always about the X's and O's. Sometimes it's about the Jimmys and Joes. And in this specific game, it just seemed like, especially outside of Luka, guys just weren't hitting their shots. I equated it personally to like March Madness. You can have a great coach who draws up a super, you know, they're a lower seed drawing up a great game plan against a higher seed. But at the end of the day, if your team isn't hitting shots, you're not going to win the game. Sometimes it is just that simple. You can come up and draw up this big analysis like, well, if we played better defense or if we made better passes, at the end of the day, if you're getting open and you're not hitting, it's going to be hard to win.
Yeah, Jalen, and what do you think the Mavs struggled with?
Yeah, I just think they let the Warriors bench get way too hot. And they ended up going cold in the clutch of this game. They missed like 4 to 5 really good looks at the end. And honestly, they had really odd defensive looks too. They had Tim Hardaway Jr. on Curry at the end of the game. And I really did not understand that one.
Not a good decision at all.
That's a terrible decision. But that was one of the things that I saw that they absolutely struggled with. But this is another thing where it was a game where the defense gave them a chance to win. And I know they had turnovers on the offensive side, and they also had turnovers on the Warriors had turnovers too. But I think it was just a game that they seriously could have won. I mean, they only lost by 4. And it was just a game I think they should have pulled out.
Yeah, that coaching decision-making has been confusing to me for the past couple months, like a couple months ago when they played the Pacers, bringing in 3 terrible defenders when you're up by 10, when you need defense. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, Joe, you said they lost by 4. When you really break it down, you go to the free throws. Guess what? The Mavs missed 4 free throws. that could have been the ball game
That'll
right there.
do it to you, Trey.
But real quick, not many games left in the season. Who do you see the Mavs play in the playoffs, and where do you think the Mavs will go in the playoffs? How far? What's their potential? Jalen, I'll go back to you.
Honestly, I think they're going to end up playing the Clippers first, and I'm really excited for this matchup. But the Clippers looks really good in this league, and I'm just thinking that I hope they don't lose first round. I hope they make it to the second round at least. But honestly, if they were to lose first round, I can't say that I'd be surprised. I'm just really thinking the Mavericks, I hope they keep it up.
And Tiger?
Words cannot describe. They cannot describe how bad I want them to play the Clippers. It would be so fun. A couple years ago, they ended up having that series where Luka came back with 3-1. Was that the series? I'm pretty sure.
I believe so.
I want a rematch of that so bad. And at the end of the day, with the way they're playing defense recently, the ceiling is the NBA Finals. I didn't think it was a couple months ago just because they were so bad defensively, but now absolutely it is.
Yeah, that sky's the limit for the Mavs, but that will do it here for our topic about the Mavericks. But you can't talk about DFW sports without talking about the Texas Rangers, who have just started their season off, and we'll talk about that when we come back.
Why should you join Talons?
We are very welcoming to people who may be a little bit hesitant. There's people currently right now in our organization who are in leadership positions who were hesitant before to join, and they found out that they just loved the organization and wanted to be a bigger part of it. They post about the football games, everything they're doing, all their events that they host.
What's the best part about Talons?
I would say meeting new people, because the university, while it's a kind of small campus in terms of like physical land, there's a ton of people here. And so getting to meet all these people who have so much school spirit and love for this university and want to spread that to other people, it's kind of like a little miniature family that we're in.
There's no harm in wanting to have fun while in college, but it's easy to lose track of how much you've had. Apps like Drink Control and Alkadroid can help keep track of your consumption and blood alcohol levels. If you or someone else does drink too much, the signs of alcohol poisoning are as follows: pale skin, vomiting, confusion, low body temperatures, irregular breathing, blacking out, and is hard to wake up or cannot be woken up.
Dude, are you okay? Hey, what's wrong? Wake up.
It's an exciting time of year, but it's important to be responsible. If you suspect someone is suffering from alcohol poisoning, get help immediately. You will not get in trouble for seeking help if you are underage. For more info and resources, go to UNT's Division of Student Affairs.
Welcome back into Sports Zone. I'm your host, Trey Francis, and we're going to talk about these Texas Rangers. They just had their opening series. Now the second series complete, and here to talk about that with me, I have Sean Hunley and Rohan Srinivasan. Sean, I'm going to start with you, my man. I mean, the Rangers, they've won their first couple series. That's pretty good. They have that target on their back, though. What are your thoughts so far?
Oh, man, it looked great. I got to go to the game. I sat waving the bleeders, but, I mean, the best thing to hear was Chuck Morgan getting to say the World Series champion Texas Rangers dropped the banner, won the first game. Crazy call. I mean, it was just every bit of the atmosphere was awesome. It was just a great place to be, and great job for these Rangers.
Yeah, no, go ahead and go right back to you. That game one, man, that sure was exciting. Like I said, I was there as well. They won 4-3, a controversial ending. But, Sean, what did you think about that ending? I mean, that was something else.
It was due. Heim was due for that one, especially after that call. I mean, everybody knew it was a foul, but, I mean, for Heim, after he didn't go chase the ball, you knew that kind of stuck with him for a little bit. But so I think for him to get that walk-off double was pretty damn good, if you ask me.
And, Rohan, your thoughts on game one?
I mean, it was absolutely incredible. I don't think I've ever been more excited for an opening day game, considering the fact that in the 6th inning, you saw Adolis Garcia go yard, and that was just incredible. Until in that 9th inning, I really don't know why they called a pass ball. It was clearly a foul ball. I don't care how loud the stadium is. I mean, you should make the call. You get paid to officiate, and you should be able to make that call there. But thank God, like Travis Janikowski saved the day. Jonah Heim with the great shot in the center field, so Rangers get the win there.
And did that opening series go how y'all thought? I mean, I thought they could have had a potential to sweep, but it's always hard to come off of, winning a World Series and to win right away with everybody, criticizing you. Sean, how do you think they do in that series?
Pretty good, if you ask me. I mean, Adolis is back in style. Janko hit that crazy game-tying home run. Pitching looked pretty good too. I mean, the only thing I'd say was the Leclerc on Sunday. It was a tough, game for saves. But I mean, it's a bad game. It happens. But that's the one thing that they need to make sure they fix as they go along. As I mentioned earlier, you got to make sure be consistent. So.
Did you think they'd win 2 games or 3 games or one? What did you think there?
I was hoping they'd take all 3, but you know what? I'm fine with 2 because then we won against the Rays. So you know what? I'll take the series win. It's all that matters.
And Rohan, what did you think? Do you think they'd win 3, 2, 1? What were you thinking?
I actually had them winning 2 out of 3 games. I mean, I know I guess you're right, but one thing that really stood out to me was they scored 20 runs in the entire series. And it's great how they get off to such a quick start as the defending champions, and they're already having great at-bats. They're scoring runs at the right time, so it's a really good sign for the upcoming season.
And let's talk about this pitching. Nathan Uvalde took the mound for that first opening day game. It's a huge day, and then that next couple days the pitching kind of falls off because Jordan Montgomery is no longer a Ranger. He's with Arizona. Do you guys think that was a huge loss for the Rangers, or what are y'all's thoughts on the pitching? Rohan, I'm gonna go ahead and start with you.
I mean, I'm not really concerned about the pitching. Our batters really take care of it, but in time, we need to fix the bullpen. This has been a problem for a number of years for the Rangers.
As long as we've been alive, just about.
Really, honestly, I totally agree with you. And we're being serious here. I mean, we were expected to win a championship. We weren't expected to win a championship, I should say, and we still did win it, despite our bullpen being really bad. But I'm sure that we can fix it. Maybe in the trade deadline, maybe.
Yeah, and Sean, let's go ahead and talk about that game 2. We went away 11-2, won that one. A lot of runs, good offensive game. What were your thoughts on that one?
I like Jared Walsh. Jared Walsh is doing great so far. He's leading the team in hits and RBIs, I believe. It's a killer. I mean, the Rangers are right back where they started. You know what? They pretty much picked up where they left off more, I should say. Everybody's getting on the board. It's looking really good. I mean, it looks like they're not hitting a slump like I thought they would, but I mean, I'm just going to keep going and keep riding this, keep riding the praise of this team until we keep going.
Yeah, and the Rangers trailed in all 3 of these games, and they came away 2 out of 3. Rohan, what were your thoughts on that one?
I mean, to be honest with you, this is what the Rangers story has been not only this season, but last season. Time and time again, whether they're down by 2, 5, 8, whatever the number is, they seem to always make a comeback and be clutch in those situations.
And was there anything you guys disliked offensively, or did you guys like the offense? I thought it was pretty dang good. Not much to complain about. Rohan?
I mean, when you can score 20 runs in the whole series, there's not going to be a problem at all. You just got to worry about your pitchers to, win you the game at that point.
And Sean?
No, well, not to mention now it's up to 35 runs, 8 home runs, 268 team batting average, looking really good. The only thing I disliked was that Josh Young broke his wrist and is now out 8 to 10 weeks, which sucks because he was leading the team in batting average.
Yes, let's go ahead and talk about that Rays series. Obviously, the Rangers won that series against the Rays. They played them in the playoffs last season, was able to beat them at that same field. But like you said, Sean, Josh Young, him and Adolis Garcia both got hit, but Young got the unfortunate injury. What do you think the impact is going to be, Rohan?
I mean, in this series, you again took 2 out of 3, which I really like. Split the first 2. Rays played well in the second game. You got to give it to them. But time and time again, this Rangers team shows me that, hey, we can win any series against any team. You don't expect them to sweep every single team, but if you can always take 2 out of 3, it's a great chance.
And Sean, talk about the pitching in that one. I mean, you had Dunning, Heaney, and Uvalde. What did you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Uvalde looks good through 2 starts. His first game, I believe he had 3 strikeouts through 6 innings. In the second, on yesterday's game, it was 7 shutout innings with 8 strikeouts. It was actually probably a really good pitching duel.
It was nice.
Aaron Savale, he had 8 strikeouts on Wednesday. So, I mean, so far the rotation looks good. The only thing I was concerned about is John Gray in the game against the Cubs. So we'll see how he does in the Astros series. But the big thing is just, make sure those pitchers are rolling through, get the relievers in, just keep getting strikeouts and keep rolling.
And Rohan, did you have something?
Yeah, and he also pointed out that Josh Young, 8 to 10 weeks, I get that. Before he got hurt, he had 3 hits, I believe, with the home run. So the Rangers will miss him, but it's that next man up mentality. Right?
Yeah, and there's definitely guys there. And on this offense in the series against the Rays, the Rangers scored 15 runs. That's still pretty good. Like y'all said, the first series scored a lot of runs. Second one, we're seeing a common theme here. What do you think is leading this offense, Rohan?
I'm not really sure. It's really the resilience of this team. Time and time again, they always have great at-bats at the right time, played really well. I know Josh Young, like we said, he's going to be out for 8 to 10 weeks, but we have guys. We really have guys like Janikowski, Duran off the bench, who can really provide for that.
Yeah, we have those fill-in guys. And Sean, I'm going to ask you about these Rays. Do you think the Rays are kind of bummish? You think they're still kind of the same team they were last year? They started off last year, remember, as one of the best teams in the MLB, and then they slowly kind of dropped off a little bit, and they kind of came back up roller coaster. What do you think about the Rays?
Well, they hung a wild card banner But as far as, how they're going to look this year, I think they'll be fine. I mean, I'm not really worried about the Rays. They lost one of their ace pitchers, Shane McClanahan. He's out for the season. But, I mean, Aaron Civale looks really, really good through 2 starts. He's got 14 strikeouts. So, I mean, I'm not worried about the Rays. I care more about my Rangers, and I want to run it back.
That's right. And but for the Rays, whenever you have, a Rosarena on your team, they have some good bats on that team, and pitching, it kind of comes together. It's just, that they're kind of up in the air a little bit. But let's go and talk about this next series coming up, guys. I think this is the biggest one, no doubt, so far, and will probably be talked about for a little ways to come. We have the Houston Astros. What do you guys think about the Houston Astros so far? I'll start with you, Ron.
Yeah, I mean, we all remember what happened last year in the ALCS. I mean, totally dominated them. Even in Game 7, I really like what we did there, and I feel like it's going to continue off to this year. I see us taking the series in this upcoming matchup.
And Sean, how do the Rangers look going into this series? You think they're good enough to beat the Astros? You think the Astros? I mean, we've seen what the Astros have done. What are your thoughts?
Their bats look good, but so does Houston's. I mean, Jose Altuve, Jeremy Pena, Yordan Alvarez, Kyle Tucker, they've all leading the team in home runs. They got a plus 17 run differential after that Blue Jays series. Not to mention one of their pitchers is coming off a no-no. And it's the earliest one in MLB history. So we get to see him on Sunday or Monday, I believe. So
yeah, that was pretty wild. Let's talk about how good the Astros have been. I mean, that first series they played the Yankees, and the brooms came out as they got swept. Ron, what did you think about that?
They really, I mean, I did not expect an 0-4 start, to be honest with you. But Blanco had the no-hitter in the next series against the Blue Jays. So, I mean, you can't really take them for granted, this Houston Astros team, even though they did start 0-4. But again, the Rangers are the defending champions. I see us taking this series.
And I believe this is a 4-game series, correct me if I'm wrong. But how many games do you think the Rangers are going to win? I'll start with you.
3.
3?
I have 3.
Sean?
I'll take 3 as well.
All right, I'll take 3 as well. That's all of us across the board, and that will do it here for you for the Texas Rangers. We'll hope that they can run it back like Sean said, but when we come back, we're going to be talking about some men's March Madness, so don't go anywhere.
I'm so tired. I feel ugly. I'm not okay. I didn't know UNT had counseling services. Maybe I should check it out. This looks like the place.
Attention all UNT students, are you looking for a professional headshot?
If so, mark your calendars for April 11th and 12th, where you can get a headshot by Isabel and myself.
Whether you're updating your LinkedIn profile, building your portfolio, or just want a stunning photo, join us on April 11th from 3:30 to 9 p.m. and April 12th from 12 to 5:30 p.m.
Located at the RTFP building in room 261, this event is free for all UNT students, and I repeat, free for all UNT students.
Don't miss out on this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to shine professionally. Get ready to put your best face forward. See you there!
Welcome back into Sports Zone, and now we're going to talk about some March Madness because it's been pretty mad in the month of March, I got to say. And here to talk about it, we got Matt Wagner again and Isaiah Ortiz. Isaiah, go ahead and let's go ahead and talk brackets really quick. I mean, mine's been buzzing for a long time. How's your bracket looking, Isaiah?
Mine was cooked on day one. I mean, shoot, it wasn't very good. I thought I did great, but obviously it's the same thing every year. It's kind of like insanity at this point.
That's right. I'm right there with you. And Matt, how's your bracket looking?
My bracket got cooked day one as well. I was going great until Wisconsin lost, and then everything fell apart after that. So obviously I still got one. I had Houston in it still, but obviously they're out. I still got UNC. I hope they can. It was just, oh boy.
Yeah, it's been a little bit rough for all of us guys, as we just mentioned. But let's talk about one team that's been kind of doubted from the beginning, UConn. I mean, they won last year. It's tough to go back-to-back. But now here they are in the Final Four, and they're making some noise. Isaiah, what are your thoughts on UConn?
Yeah, UConn they do what they do. I remember sitting at this exact block last year talking about UConn, how they're just dominating every team they play. And it's really just because they close out at an elite level, right? I don't think they've lost a game below double digits in 2 years, which is impressive for any team to say on any level.
Yeah, and as we just saw, UConn against Bama. Bama, they've knocked off some tough opponents, and then you have Purdue and NC State. NC State's an 11 seed. But for now, we'll keep talking about UConn and Bama. Who have these guys gone through? Isaiah, I'll go right back to you. What are your thoughts on Alabama? They took down UNC. They've played some tough people.
Yeah, I want to talk about that UNC game because I thought their game plan was great. If you know the meme, Blitz, Bama, Blitz, that Drewski meme, because that's exactly what they did. They were blitzing the pick and roll with R.J. Davis and Armando Bacot. It got them out of a rhythm and ultimately won them that game. I didn't ever expect Alabama's defense to be the factor into making a Final Four run, but they're here.
Yeah, they beat UNC and Clemson. Matt, what are your thoughts on Alabama?
No, I mean, they're a great team, right? Their defense really showed up, and I think defense wins championships, as we saw. You don't expect Alabama to have a defensive team, though. Their defensive efficiency was only ranked 30th out of all the teams in the tournament. That's not really good. But Bama, their rise and grind is what they've been doing. Every game has been an absolute grind for them, and I think they've really pushed it out this year.
Yeah, and there's some key players on this team. Isaiah, I'm going to touch on you, but first, UConn, Donovan Clingan, he's been solid all season long. Who do you like, Isaiah, from either team?
Yeah, you mentioned Clingan. He has been having an amazing tournament, taking over for Sonogo last year in his sophomore year. He's looking to be possibly a top 10 pick this year with how well he's been playing. Tristan Newton, the senior guard, has been giving them elite play as well. And then obviously you got Caravan as your shooter. UConn obviously has all the guys. But Alabama, you have Mark Sears stepping up. He's getting Jalen Brunson-like comparisons, which right now is great. And then you got Grant Nelson, right? Transfer from North Dakota State. We saw what he did against UNC. Great defensive game down the stretch and just elite play to get them to where they are.
I saw Nelson getting actually Dennis Rodman comparisons as well because how elite his defense has been. I thought that was crazy, but I mean, he's kind of showed up pretty well.
And Matt, like I said already, UConn, they've been kind of doubted all season long, or not doubted all season long, but now they've been doubted since their bracket, side of the bracket was kind of tough, but now that, they're the favorites again. What are your thoughts on UConn?
I think they can go all the way this year. I really do. I think they're a great team. They're a great shooting team. Their women's team has always been in the conversation every year. But their men, I think, are a little underrated because I think they're overshadowed by the women a little bit because the women obviously won 4 in a row. But going back to back again is very hard, and I think this team can do it. They have the depth to do it.
And let's go ahead and give our predictions for this game. I think it's probably going to be across the board, but I'm going to have to roll with UConn. Matt, who do you got in this one?
I do have UConn winning this one.
What do you think the margin of victory is going to be?
I'm going to go 5 points. I think it's going to be a 5-point difference here.
5? I'm probably going to go 8. And Isaiah?
I'm going to go 15-point difference. I think they keep rolling. They keep rolling.
All right.
Now let's talk about the other matchup on the other side. We have Purdue and NC State. NC State just played here in Dallas at the American Airlines Center, beat Marquette, beat Duke. Are they the real deal, Isaiah?
By the way they've been playing, they look better the last 2 years. Better than the last 2 years. Obviously, Zach Edey has been doing what he's doing. But the problem with them is they haven't gotten him help, and that's why they were early exits those last 2 years. But the role players have stepped up. Lance Jones, a guy that's been going crazy. Braden Smith, their point guard sophomore, and Fletcher Lawyer, a great shooter to have, really spacing the floor. When you have those guys playing as well as they've been playing, it opens the floor for Zach Edey, and we saw that specifically against the game against Tennessee where he had 40 points.
Yeah, Purdue's never been a team, like you said, you can never really trust them to get past like the Sweet 16, Elite 8. Purdue beat Tennessee and Gonzaga. Matt, what did you think about that?
No, I thought it was a great game. I thought they really showed up. Purdue always is the team that we always like to pick on, especially with their loss to UNT a couple of years back. But no, they've really showed that, like, listen, we're not the chokers this year, right? And NC State's a good team to really go after. This is a real test for them.
And there was some controversy whenever it came to that Tennessee game with Zach Edey. They almost seemed like they didn't call a lot of fouls. What did you think, Isaiah? You think is that going to roll over to this next game?
It really depends because obviously he has to play against DJ Burns, right? He's going to be physical with them. It's definitely what type of crew you get because some crews are going to be like, you're reaching, you're doing all this on Zach Edey. We're going to call it every time. Some crews will let them play it out, let them be physical. I'm hoping for the latter because we are in the Final Four.
Yeah, Matt, I would say that Zach Edey probably has a little bit more help, shooting-wise rather than DJ Burns. But what are your thoughts on this matchup between Burns and Edey? It's going to be a heck of a game.
Yeah, no, I really like this because you know what it gives me? It gives me that back when it was Houston versus UNC back in the 80s, right? You got Phi Slamma Jamma, you got Hakeem versus Jordan. It gives me those vibes. That's how big this matchup could be for both teams.
Yeah, let's talk about NC State being here in 11 seed. You usually don't see an 11 seed here in the Final Four, and they could have a chance to go to the championship. Do you guys think that they can beat Purdue? You think Purdue has them? Isaiah?
If we were talking about a team of destiny, Survive and Advance Part 2, you mentioned the 80s. Obviously going off that one shot that went in off the bank. If you were going off the destiny field, then yes, I do say they have a very good chance, but matchup-wise, it's definitely tough.
No, I agree. I think, we haven't seen an NC State team this good since Survive and Advance, the Jim Valvano era. NC State's always been a team that no one really thinks about as, as a team that goes far, but they really can.
Yeah, and we haven't mentioned it, guys, but they won the ACC tournament. They beat North Carolina, who was on a roll, and then also through this tournament they beat Texas Tech, Oakland in overtime, Marquette, and then Duke. I think Purdue might be next in that line. Let's go ahead and talk about what's the margin of victory and who do you have winning it, Isaiah?
I do like Purdue winning it if I were going with my brain. I can't go with my heart on this one. It's sad to say, but yeah, Purdue.
And your margin of victory?
I'm going to go with 9.
Ooh, I like that.
Right.
I like
and
that.
Matt?
I'm gonna go. Man, I gotta go NC State. I know I want to go my heart with this one. I'm gonna go NC State by 5.
NC State by 5. I'm gonna go NC State by 7 because they've kind of had good leads over everybody except the Oakland game. But once they got in overtime, things quickly changed. But that's gonna do it here for our men's March Madness. But coming up, we're gonna be talking about some women's March Madness. Some good teams on that side of the bracket as well. NC State. So we'll have that for you when we come back.
Why should you join Talons?
We are very welcoming to people who may be a little bit hesitant. There's people currently right now in our organization who are in leadership positions who were hesitant before to join, and they found out that they just love the organization and wanted to be a bigger part of it. They post about the football games, everything they're doing, all their events that they host.
What's the best part about Talons?
I would say meeting new people because the university, while it's a kind of small campus in terms of like physical land, there's a ton of people here. And so getting to meet all these people who have so much school spirit and love for this university and want to spread that to other people, it's kind of like a little miniature family that we're in.
There's no harm in wanting to have fun while in college, but it's easy to lose track of how much you've had. Apps like Drink Control and Alkadroit can help keep track of your consumption and blood alcohol levels. If you or someone else does drink too much, the signs of alcohol poisoning are as follows: pale skin, vomiting, confusion, low body temperatures, irregular breathing, blacking out, and is hard to wake up or cannot be woken up.
Dude, are you okay? Hey, what's wrong? Wake up.
It's an exciting time of year, but it's important to be responsible. If you suspect someone is suffering from alcohol poisoning, get help immediately. You will not get in trouble for seeking help if you are underage. For more info and resources, go to UNT's Division of Student Affairs.
Welcome back into Sports Zone. I'm your host, Trey Francis. Now, we're going to talk about some women's March Madness because it gets mad in the month of March, like I said, for the men, and it does for the women as well. And to talk about that with me here, I have Anthony Council and Kendall Keaton. Kendall, I'm going to go ahead and start with you. We have NC State, South Carolina, and Iowa, UConn. We're going to start with NC State, South Carolina. What are your overall thoughts about how these teams got here?
Of course, South Carolina, they are undefeated. What is to expect from them? Of course, they are a really good team on and off the court. They have really good chemistry, so of course they're going to be, in the final. And also NC State, they're pretty good, but South Carolina, they're undefeated. So.
Yeah, it's always easy to say whenever you don't lose a game. That's pretty tough, Anthony. What are your thoughts on this?
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, Kendall. South Carolina has played their best brand of basketball this whole entire season. Compared to last year, it's been phenomenal. They have not lost a game this whole season. They've only, lost one game since last year, and that was against, Iowa, the Hawkeyes,
so.
Going into the championship game. And so, just looking at this team, how they've played, Don Staley has these women playing amazing. And, are we surprised? It's been an ongoing circus with this team ever since the likes of Asia Wilson being there.
Yeah, whenever you talk about some women's, March Madness, some women's college hoops, one of the first teams that usually comes to mind is going to be South Carolina, but you got other teams out there too. Texas went down, but you got other teams out there. We have NC State in here. We had the NC State men in the Final Four and the NC State women in the Final Four, and as well as UConn for both. What are y'all's thoughts on that? Kendall, I'll go ahead and start with you.
With UConn and
Yeah, UConn and NC State both having a men and a women's team. How cool is that? How important is that?
The coaches are really good, clearly. The players are phenomenal. So, it's a big achievement for both women and men basketball teams to be in the tournament at the same time. really
Yeah,
special.
And Anthony, your thoughts on this NC State team? Do they belong here? They beat Texas and Stanford. Texas, pretty good team overall. What are your thoughts on this NC State?
NC State deserves to be here because they did beat the number 1 team in Texas. With Booker, with their whole entire squad. Madison Booker was their leading scorer. Madison Booker played the point guard whenever their senior guard went out as a freshman. And the way she's been able to play, the way she's been able to take the lead this year for Texas, she played phenomenal, don't get me wrong. But, I mean, South Carolina, not South Carolina, NC State, a shout out to the Carolinas, NC State has been playing a phenomenal brand of basketball. They haven't missed a bucket, they haven't missed a step, as well as, Isaiah James played for South Carolina last year. So I think for her to go up against South Carolina this upcoming weekend, it's gonna be exciting. But this is the first time that UConn and NC State, men and women's, has been in the tournament, in the Final Four. I think that's huge.
Yeah, no, it definitely is huge. You can't take the words right out of my mouth. Isaiah James, she's going to be one to watch out for. Kendall, did you have anyone else, or was James on your list too?
James was on my list. Also, Sonia Rivers as well. She's a pretty good shooter, so.
Yeah, Sonia Rivers, and now whenever you talk about South Carolina, Camila Cardoso, Raven Johnson, I mean, there's like 4 or 5 players you can name on this team, Anthony, that can really get the job done. And we saw what these players have done all season as they scored over 100 several times. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, one of my biggest players is Flo Wiley. I mean, she has been a bucket ever since the first game she played on the court for South Carolina. Even in high school, we knew she was going to be a superstar, and that's really what we've seen. She's been the catalyst for this South Carolina team, and I wouldn't be surprised if she got some buckets this upcoming weekend. So.
And Kendall, was this the matchup that you expected? Did you see NC State playing South Carolina, or did you see something different?
No, I seen it coming from a mile away. It's just exciting for both of the teams to be playing each other. South Carolina undefeated, and NC State, like Anthony said, they deserve to be here. So it's exciting to see this weekend.
And Anthony, was this the matchup that you expected?
I mean, look, being a Carolina kid, I did expect it. Being a Carolina kid from North Carolina, North Kakalaki to be in fact, seeing South Carolina versus NC State, it's going to be exciting, and I definitely did see it from a mile away.
Yeah, I'm going to have to disagree with y'all. I'm going to have to say I thought Texas would win. I mean, I'm a Texas boy, being in Texas. I'm like, hey, I think that Texas, has they put several games together where it's like I think they might have a shot to go, but obviously they did not. NC State kind of brought their game and beat them by like, what, 9 or 10?
Yeah, but I mean, Texas, they kind of missed a step. I mean,
you're right.
Throughout the season, it's been up and down throughout for them. And I mean, you got to give them credit. I mean, look. Putting all the eggs in one basket for Booker has been such a challenge for her. And I think that NC State, they just came out guns blazing from outside the arc, from shooting knockdown threes, and especially just getting the ball out of her hand. You can't win a game all by yourself, unless you're Caitlin Clark.
That is true, and we'll talk about her in just a second. Caitlin Clark is tearing it up. But whenever it comes to South Carolina and NC State, what do you think the margin of victory is going to be here? Kendall, I think I'll go with you. And you think South Carolina, is that correct?
For
okay,
sure.
So what do you think? How many points will they beat them by? I mean, South Carolina has been blowing these teams out by like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points. What do you think?
Since it's like dwindling down to like the Final Four, I would say probably 9 points. It'll be a really tight game for both teams, and it's exciting to see.
And Anthony, what margin of victory?
It's hard because you can't. Betting against South Carolina is like betting against Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady or LeBron. So
that is true.
I would say maybe 12. It may be a close game, but I think in the first half, the first 2 quarters, South Carolina is going to come out fast, and then NC State is going to try to come back.
Yeah, I'm going to meet y'all in the middle there. I'll go South Carolina. I'm going to say, I'm going to go 10 points. I think it'll be close, probably halftime.
Yeah.
But after that, I think South Carolina might use their experience and kind of take off from there and end their whole season. But now let's go ahead and talk about this other matchup. Iowa versus UConn. That's your 1 and 3 seed. Iowa, they're nasty. You see them all over the internet. Kendall, I'm going to start with you. I mean, Iowa has been deadly. Caitlin Clark, talk about them.
Caitlin Clark. She's good, but also I like Paige as well. Paige is I would say like a dark horse. She has a really good story behind her. She's a really good player, so we can't count her out. But Caitlin Clark is phenomenal. Love her.
And Anthony, how did these teams get here? Did you see this matchup coming, or how did these teams get here? I mean, who do they have to go through? It's tough teams.
So with Paige, it's been an interesting story, right? I mean, she hasn't played since last year. This is definitely a game that she has been waiting for. She's been training for. I mean, every game come up to now, she has been waiting and ready for. And I mean, you saw that just last weekend against the #1 freshman in the country of, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on her name. Oh my gosh.
I'm terrible with names.
I'm blanking on the name. But anyway, against one of the best freshmen that has played for South Carolina. And I think that this matchup between Paige and Caitlin Clark, I mean, look, Paige is a better passer. I think Paige is able to get her teammates involved as usual, able to shoot it from deep. Caitlin Clark, she's a different animal as well. And I think the matchup between them two is going to be great. Caitlin really able to shoot from the three-point line, but not afraid to also get her teammates involved, especially whenever, because I mean, the last game against LSU, I mean, she played against a smaller guard. And if you look at the height differential, I mean, Paige and Caitlin, they're kind of the same height. And Paige ain't afraid of nobody. So I think that's going to be very exciting, too, to see these two match up against each other this Friday. So make sure you get your popcorn ready.
And Kendall, do you think this matchup's going to be any different than what Clark saw last week with Angel Reese?
It'll be very different. Paige is an all-around player. She's amazing, and she plays well on both ends of the court. With the ball.
Yeah, and let's talk about that Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese matchup. We saw that last year in the finals. This year, not in the finals, but it got more views than ever. Let's just talk about the overall impact. Anthony, what impact have they had on the game of women's basketball?
It's been huge. I mean, it's been a huge impact for both sides, for Caitlin Clark as well as Angel Reese. Angel Reese being really the big man that she is, having 20 points, 13 rebounds last game. But I think it's just not only her mantra on the court, but even off the court, from not only all the NIL deals, but also the way she carries herself, her attitude. I think that's huge, and I think it's really transcended for all the young women who look up to her. And then for Caitlin Clark, I mean, she's shooting it like she's Steph Curry, which is fantastic and phenomenal. And I think that seeing that from her, from all the women, especially from meeting Maya Moore that one time, I think that's huge. She's really building the next generation.
And I'm going to go to you. I mean, like he said, they have a big impact. What else do you have on that?
Just building off what he said, like Angel Reese, she has a really good attitude off the court, but on the court, her and Caitlin are bringing back the excitement and women's basketball, I feel like. And this is the best thing since sliced bread, you know. A lot of people have been saying that women's sports or basketball is not entertaining, it's boring. So I think these two players and ladies have been really bringing the heat back to the sport.
I mean, 12.3 million views, their last game, Iowa and LSU. That's more than every game for football, basketball, the Super Bowl, the college football playoff. I mean, they had the most views really all over from ESPN.
Yeah, in their last matchup, it was 9.9 million viewers in the championship. And now we were talking, an Elite Eight game? They got 12.3 million viewers. I mean, imagine what the championship could be this year. It can go places. Like you said, they had more viewership than the 2023 NBA Finals and the 2023 World Series, which is absurd. Kendall, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, they're bringing back the excitement. I feel like me as a woman watching basketball, it's really exciting to see that everyone's engaging and there's nice things to be said about it, you know, because ever since they've started, really, it's just been criticized. So it's a good thing to see that they are bringing the hype back, bringing the excitement back into the sport and whatnot. So.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, it's really brought the excitement, brought the fans. Anthony, so is this the matchup that you expect? I think Iowa was a no-brainer. But UConn, they've been good for years now. But did you think these teams would be the ones matching up?
I mean, it's Paige. I mean, I definitely expected it to be Caitlin Clark versus Paige Beckers. I mean, before they played with each other for Team USA from, I think it was 16U, and then obviously they went their separate ways. Caitlin Clark she was going to go to UConn, decided to go to Iowa. And so I think seeing that these two match up, I think it's going to be very exciting. The offense is going to be phenomenal. It's going to be a lot of three-point shooting, and I definitely expected it. I think seeing the two best guards that are in this league, aside from Juju Watkins, who I forgot the name, excuse me, respect on her name, Juju Watkins, USC, respect on her name. Seeing these two guards play against each other, really go back and forth from three-point, from passing, I think it's all going to be from the coach's side of it. I think it's going to be who has the most experience. Iowa has experience from last year, but UConn has multiple championships to back their name up. So I definitely did see it happening. I just don't know who's going to win this weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be a heck of a game. Kendall, was this the matchup that you saw?
Yes, it's the matchup that I saw, and I'm going to be pretty bummed. I'm split between the two teams. Both talented, passionate players, Paige, Caitlin. So whoever wins, I'm going to be happy, but, also bummed at the same time because they're both pretty deserving themselves.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about our predictions here. You got to give me a team, and I need a margin of victory. We're going to start, so we'll go back to the NC State. So we all said South Carolina, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we're going to go Iowa versus UConn. Kendall, give me the team and give me the margin of victory. It's tough. It's really hard.
Very tough. I'm going to probably go with Iowa in a 5-point margin.
Iowa by 5. Yeah. All right, Anthony?
That's hard, man. I'm not going to lie. I think I'm going to go with UConn. And the reason why I'm going to go with UConn is because of their big men inside. I think they have a very, I forget her name. I think it's Aaliyah inside. She's a very strong presence because she's able to rebound. She's able to get inside buckets. And I just don't think Iowa has that. They don't have the height or the length in the paint as UConn does. So I'm going to go with UConn.
All right, and I'll be the tiebreaker on that one. I'm going to go with Iowa and Caitlin Clark. They've just been balling. I mean, come on. But like you said, it's going to be a tough matchup for sure. Now, we have South Carolina, and Kendall and I, we have South Carolina, Iowa. You have South Carolina against UConn. Let's go ahead and give our championship prediction. Kendall, who do you got winning it all?
South Carolina.
All right, South Carolina?
I'm going South Carolina.
Shoot, I guess I'm just going to go against you guys. So I'm going to roll with Iowa. Well, that does it here for your Sports Zone segment. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. Make sure to follow us on social media. It's going to be NTTV_sports. And we'll see if the madness continues in March. And make sure to stay tuned for Nightly News, as it'll be on just a minute.
Is Senate Bill 17, the one that forbids